Welcome to another episode of the Banter Binges podcast.
I'm Gabby,
And I'm Quase.
and today we're watching Once Upon a Time, Season 1, Episodes 7 and 8.
Beware, this episode will contain spoilers, so keep that in mind if you're going to follow along with us. All right, so we're at Season 1, Episode 7, The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. It premiered December 11th, 2011, with 8.9 million viewers. It was written by Adam Horowitz and Edward Kitsis and directed by David M. Barrett.
Okay, so the show opens with Graham at Granny's diner playing darts, and Sydney bets him that he can't make another perfect shot. He does and tells Ruby the next round of drinks is on Sydney. Emma walks around the corner and passes by Graham without saying anything. She kind of stops, and it's a little awkward because now she knows that him and Regina are sleeping together. She heads towards the door, and Graham throws a dart at the door, and she turns around and asks him what the hell he's thinking, that he could have hit her. He says he never misses and asks if she's avoiding him because of last night. She says she isn't avoiding him. She just doesn't have any interest in having this conversation. And it's his life, and he can do whatever he wants. And she leaves Granny's. He follows her and asks why she's so upset if she doesn't care. She tells him she isn't upset, and he insists that if she wasn't upset, she would be having drinks with him instead of running away. He asks if they can talk about it, and says that he needs her to understand. Emma asks why, and he responds he doesn't know. Maybe if she understands, he'll understand. She directs him to Archie for a psychoanalysis. He tells her he wants to talk to her, and she informs him that his bad judgment isn't her problem. He tells her she just doesn't understand what it's like. He doesn't feel anything. She says she understands a bad relationship. She just doesn't want to talk about his. He tells her he knows her and Regina have issues, and he should have been honest when she took the job. He should have just told her. And she was, yeah, why the secrecy? And he looks at her and he's like, I didn't want you to look at me the way you are now. And he kisses her. In the brief moment that he kisses her, he gets flashes of the forest and a wolf. The same wolf that Emma almost runs into in the pilot when she hits the Storybrooke sign. Emma pulls away and tells him he's way, way, way out of line. He apologizes and said he just needs to feel something. And she's like, whatever you're looking to feel, you're not going to feel it with me. And then Graham immediately goes to Regina's house to hook up. In the Enchanted Forest, the evil queen comforts Snow after her father's death, then goes into her chamber and tells her mirror that Snow has no idea that the queen is responsible for her father's passing, and that she can't kill Snow White yet because the kingdom is still loyal to her, that Snow's demise must be handled with great, great, great care. She needs someone who's adept at murder and who has no mercy. The mirror says she needs a huntsman. The huntsman, which is Graham, shoots a deer, and he apologizes to it and thanks it for its sacrifice before he tells his wolf, which is the same wolf that's in his dreams now and in Storybrooke. He tells his wolf, you're not going to go hungry either tonight. In Storybrooke, Graham and Regina have hooked up, and he wakes up in a cold sweat. And he tells Regina that he had this crazy dream that he was in the woods hunting and that there was a wolf. Now, the wolf is particular. The wolf has one red eye and one black eye. It does in every scene. And he says he thinks he's seen the wolf before. She says, hey, it was just a dream. You're probably still drunk. Go back to bed. He tells her it didn't feel like a dream. It felt like a memory. And she kind of pauses and looks really, really, really nervous. She insists it's just a dream, and she tries to talk him into staying, but he leaves. And when he approaches his car, because he left his car at Granny's, when he approaches his car, the wolf rounds the back of the car, and he kind of falls against the driver's door, and he's startled, and he's watching this wolf as it walks away. The next morning, Emma sees a bouquet of flowers in the apartment and she throws them away, thinking that they're from Graham, that they're an apology. Mary Margaret informs her that they were hers from Dr. Whale and reveals that they did in fact have a sleepover.
Oh.
Yeah. Emma thinks it's amazing. She thinks it's amazing that it's an old adage. It's to get over one man, you get under another. And Emma thinks it's amazing that she's getting over David. Mary Margaret.
With Dr. Whale?
With Dr. Whale.
Oh, yuck.
Yeah. Mary Margaret insists, there's nothing to get over. And it was just a one-night stand. And Emma says, well, according to the flowers, it's not. And Mary Margaret cringes and admits that she called him, that she's never had a sleepover before. Emma kind of like, well, you didn't do anything wrong. Sleepovers are about as far as I go, is just one night. And Mary Margaret's like, well, that's just because you're... And Emma looks at her and is like, I'm what? And Mary Margaret's like, you're just protecting yourself. Emma says, hey, I don't get emotional over men. There's nothing wrong with that. Mary Margaret laughs and says, the floral abuse says another story.
That was great. It was a great moment.
And then it's obvious to everyone but Emma that Emma has feelings for Graham. And she tells her, this wall that you put up, it might keep out pain, but it might also keep out love. Then we go into the forest. Graham has not slept, other than the little nap he took at Regina's. He's chasing the wolf through the forest when he stumbles upon Mr. Gold. Graham tells him Graham's like, oh, I thought you were a wolf. And Mr. Gold asks him if he forgot to shave and tells him he was just doing a spot of gardening out in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. In like the very, very, very early morning, he just went out to the woods to do some gardening. Graham says he's looking for a wolf, and Mr. Gold's like, yeah, I got that. To the best of my knowledge, there's no wolves in Storybrooke. Not the literal kind, anyway. And he asks Graham why he's looking. Graham's like, oh, you're going to think I'm crazy. And Mr. Gold's like, well, try me. Graham tells him he saw one in his dreams, and then he saw one for real just a few hours earlier, and asks if Mr. Gold has seen anything unusual. Mr. Gold says, I'm afraid I haven't seen anything unusual, but people say that dreams are memories of another life. Graham asks him if he believes that, and Mr. Gold says he doesn't ever take everything for what it seems. That he's always open to possibilities. And then we go back to the Enchanted Forest. The huntsman and the wolf go into a tavern where there are men in there, and they're making fun of the huntsman for being too compassionate for animals and being raised by wolves. He gets into a brawl with a couple of the patrons, not realizing that the queen is watching him through the mirror. So because the queen has the magic mirror, she can see through any mirror and watch like a TV, watch what's going on through any mirror. She says he's perfect and tells her guards to go get him. So we go back to Storybrooke in the forest, and Graham finds the wolf, and he touches him. And as soon as he touches the wolf, more memories flood in. This time he sees Snow White, and he sees a sign above a door. Graham rushes to the school and tells Mary Margaret he thinks that they know each other, and she's like, of course we do. And he's like, well, no, not from Storybrooke, from somewhere else. He asked her if she believes in other lives, and she's like, oh, like heaven. And he's like, no, like past lives. Back in Storybrooke, the huntsman is brought to the queen. She asks she asks why he's so tortured, and if he's so tortured because his parents abandoned him to the wolves. He tells her, those weren't my parents, they just gave birth to me, the wolves are my family. She says there are two kinds of people, wolves and sheep, those who kill and those who get killed, and he is definitely a wolf. She explains to him that she would like him to kill somebody for her, and tells them that that if he does it, he will have a place in her court and be her official huntsman he'll want for nothing. He says he has no interest in being a pet and calls the castle a cage, and asks why she needs him to do it when she has an entire army. She explains that her prey is beloved by the people and she needs someone who won't be blinded by that. Someone that can cut a heart out and bring it back to her for her collection. He says, that's me. I can do that. She asks what it will take for him to accept the job. And he requests, instead of like gold and riches and, anything like that, he requests the outlawing of hunting of wolves and says that they are to be protected. She agrees. Graham we're back in Storybrooke. Graham is sitting with Mary Margaret and he asks her if she remembers when they met. And she thinks about it for a minute and realizes she doesn't remember. She doesn't remember the moment they met. And he says he doesn't remember either. In fact, he doesn't remember when he met anyone in Storybrooke. Mary Margaret's like, well, I think that's just how life goes, that, things get hazy after a while. He asks if he's ever hurt her. She says, of course not, and asks what's going on. And he tells her a little bit about like the past lives. And she's like, oh, you must have talked to Henry. And she explains about Henry's theory about they're all fairy tales with past lives. And he kind of just looks at her and is like, yeah. And she kind of touches his head and he's burning up. He hasn't slept. He looks horrible. Really, really pale, sweaty. Looks horrible. Then we go back to the Enchanted Forest. Snow White is walking with the huntsman and she's trying to make conversation with him and she offers him an apple, which he refuses. She tells him that she knows he's not one of her father's knights, that without fail, every one of her father's men have offered her condolences, and they all know how to wear armor, and he's wearing too much of it. He's wearing it incorrectly. She asks why the queen picked him to take her, and he just answers that she knows why. She says he's going to kill her. He tells her, you have good instincts, and she looks at him and says, and you have too much armor. And she hits him with a branch and runs away, and he chases after her. We go back to Storybrooke. Emma's in the sheriff's station and tries to throw a dart and misses horribly. It falls on the ground. Like, she doesn't even get it into the wall. Regina walks in as she's picking up the dart, and Emma just tells her Graham isn't here. She assumed that he took a sick day with Regina. Regina says, good, you're aware of us, because I'm aware of your relationship as well. Emma says there's nothing to be aware of. And Regina's like, well, I have eyes all around, and I know things have happened. Emma says nothing that meant anything has happened. And Regina gets kind of snide and says, well, of course not. You can't feel anything for anybody else but yourself. Emma tells her the way she lives her life is her business. And Regina says, well, yeah, it's your business until it infringes on my life. And Emma's putting dangerous thoughts in Graham's head that aren't in his best interest and tells her to stay away from him. Graham goes to Regina's house and speaks to Henry about his theory. Henry asks him about the visions, and they're going through the book, and they figure out that he's the huntsman. Graham asks what happened after he spared Snow, and Henry tells him the queen took his heart. And then he sees the sign from his vision in the book and asks what it is, and Henry tells him it's the queen's vault where she puts all the hearts. As Graham is leaving the house, Emma catches up with him, and he tells her all about his heart and how he needs to find it and he needs to follow the wolf, and she thinks he's speaking metaphorically. And then he's like, it's the only, like, this is the only thing that makes any sense. Henry's the only one making any sense. Emma's like, your heart's right here, kind of puts her hand on his chest, puts his hand on his chest, and it's beating. And she's like, you have a heart. Like, he says, no, that's the curse. It's the curse making it seem like I have a beating heart, but I actually don't have a heart. While they're talking, Emma sees the wolf standing behind Graham, and they follow it. The wolf leads them to the cemetery, where there's this mausoleum with the same sign above the door as what's on the Queen's vault. And then we go back to the Enchanted Forest. Snow White stops to compose a letter to the queen. When the huntsman catches up with her, he kind of is like, I'll never understand your kind. I'm hunting you, and yet you stop to compose a letter. She's like, hey, I don't know these woods. You're a huntsman. You're going to find me. I know how this ends. Just when you kill me, give this letter to the queen and tell her I mean every word of it. The huntsman opens it up and reads it. I don't think Snow realizes that he's going to read it because she looks a little bit like,
Yeah,
oh.
she looks a little bit taken aback.
But he reads it and he starts to cry, and he tells her to run away. She kind of is like, what do you mean? And he's like, run now. Like, here's your chance to get away, or I'm going to kill you. And she takes off into the forest. The huntsman brings the queen a heart of a stag and tells her that it's Snow's heart. He reads her the letter. It says basically that Snow is sorry that the queen won't have love in her life because of her. She hopes that her death satisfies her need for revenge so that the queen can rule the citizens of the kingdom in a way that they deserve, with compassion. That she knows the queen sees her death as revenge, but Snow prefers to see it as a sacrifice, and that she's sorry and she forgives the queen. The queen's pissed. Rips up the letter, throws it in the fire, and yells at the huntsman that he's becoming a sheep. He replies that Snow put others before herself, and yet the queen hates her and asks what Snow did to her. The queen says she shared a secret with Snow that Snow couldn't keep, and that betrayal cost her dearly. Then the queen takes the heart to her vault, and when it doesn't open one of the boxes, because there's boxes in the vault, and she holds the box with the heart up to one of the boxes and it doesn't open. So she knows it's not a human heart. Side note, this is also inaccurate because in this part of the timeline, Snow still doesn't know what happened with the queen. Like she still doesn't know that she knows she shared a secret that she shouldn't have. But she doesn't know the consequences of sharing that secret in this timeline that ends up with it. Then you see them back in Storybrooke. Graham and Emma enter the mausoleum, but it only has like one casket in the middle. And it's a very small room. Mm-hmm. Graham's looking for a hidden door or a lever, or looking through just anywhere that, like, he's just scanning the walls looking for anything. When Regina finds them and asks what they're doing, and when they're like, what are you doing? She explains that she's bringing flowers to her father's grave. Her father's casket is in the mausoleum. Graham says he wanted to go in there. It wasn't Emma's fault. Regina asks what he was looking for, and he says nothing. I wasn't looking for anything, which kind of begs the question of why you went in there then.
Yep, exactly.
Regina is stuck on the fact that this is Emma. That Emma's the cause of all of this. And he again tells her Emma has nothing to do with it. Emma says, this is between you guys. I have nothing to do with it. Regina looks at him and tells him he doesn't look good and kind of pulls him towards her and was like, you need to go home. He pulls away and he tells her, I don't want to go home with you. Regina assumes it's because of Emma, because everything is because of Emma. Graham again says it has nothing to do with Emma. He realizes he doesn't feel anything when he's with her. And he knows now that that's not him. That's because of her. Regina asks if he's leaving her for Emma. And he clarifies that he's leaving her for himself. That it's over. That he would rather have nothing than settle for less. That nothing is better than what they have. He needs to feel something. And the only way he's going to do that is to give himself a chance. Not with Emma, just get some space and give himself a chance to collect himself. Regina tells Emma she doesn't know what she's done to deserve Emma coming after everything she holds dear. Emma gets a little spicy. She tells her, think about why everyone around you is running from you. Henry found Emma. Graham kissed Emma. That they both were miserable. Regina responds by punching Emma in the face, and they start fighting. And Emma's going to.
Yeah, Emma's ready to knock her out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emma's going to get the better of her. Graham pulls them apart. Emma walks away saying Regina's not worth it. And Graham follows her. We go to the sheriff's station. Graham is helping. Emma's got like a little scrape by her eye. And Graham is helping her kind of patch it up and stuff like that. And he says he doesn't know how he got wrapped up with Regina in the first place. Emma says, hey, it was easy. It was safe. Not feeling anything is an attractive option when what you feel sucks. Meanwhile, Regina goes into the mausoleum and pushes the casket to the side. Like the opening to the door wasn't on the wall or anything like she actually physically has to push the casket over. And it reveals a set of steps. She goes down and she enters her vault. In the Enchanted Forest, the queen traps the huntsman in a room, like her vault room. And he says Snow didn't deserve to die. She freaks out saying that wasn't up to him, that she wanted a heart and she will have a heart. And she rips his heart out of his chest. She then kisses him. And it's really uncomfy. And she tells him he is hers now. And she calls him her pet. Kind of a little throwback to when he said he wasn't going to be a pet. And, she opens one of the boxes and she's like, this is your cage. And from this moment forward, you'll do whatever I say. And if you ever disobey or try to run away, all I have to do is squeeze. And she squeezes the heart and he falls to the floor in pain. She calls for her guards and she tells the guards to take him to her bedchamber. Which again is uncomfy. Meanwhile, in Storybrooke, Regina pulls Graham's heart from a box in her vault. You see Graham kissing Emma, and he gets another series of flashes, and his entire memory comes back. Like, it seals his memory. He smiles, and he says he remembers, and he goes to kiss her again, and he falls to the floor as Regina crushes his heart. And that's the end of the episode. But I also noticed, so in this episode, she had to crush Graham's heart into dust. Like she crushes it, it turns into dust, and she lets the dust fall in order to kill him. In the second episode, she pulled her dad's heart out. She did not crush it, and it killed him. So did the writers just decide you have to crush it, otherwise you hold like possession of them since the second episode?
Possibly, because she takes her father's heart while still in the Enchanted Forest.
Yes.
So
and it immediately kills him.
And it immediately kills him, like you said. I wonder if the curse, has affected how it works now.
See, I don't think so, because they were in the Enchanted Forest when she takes Graham's heart and puts it in the box. So theoretically, as soon as she took Graham's heart out, he should have died. Or the huntsman. As soon as she took the huntsman's heart out, he should have died. And instead she put it in a box to hold power over him. So I think the writers decided on the whole crushing thing between episodes 2 and 7.
Could be.
What do you think about the episode? So basically she held him as a sex slave for 28 years.
Yeah.
It's icky.
This was a disturbing episode. I did enjoy it, but I see a few things in this episode, and one is Graham is the first person to truly believe what Henry is saying.
Yeah.
Truly believe it.
To the point that it brings back his memories.
Right. And that was encouraging. And he acts on it, and when he was speaking about this to Emma and he mentioned the wolf, Emma
sees the wolf. Which she's seen before.
Yeah.
Because she almost hit it.
So I don't know if she completely believed Graham's story, but the wolf and her sighting of it, you know, it 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 gets her thinking. Well, I've seen this wolf. Now Graham sees this wolf.
Let's follow the wolf.
Maybe I'm not crazy, because
Yeah.
everybody told me,
Yeah, because when she said, I swerved to miss a wolf, everyone told her there's no wolves in
this was a
Storybrooke.
Storybrooke, and that maybe she hallucinated.
Because she was drunk.
Yeah. So, now she's on board at least to go and figure this out. And the wolf takes them directly to
To the mausoleum.
the mausoleum. So, this was a wonderful throwback, and I really felt for Graham. And when you think, and I've said this before, when you think Regina cannot go any lower than she has.
Yeah. And like we said, this is not necessarily a kid's show. I think kids could watch it if they're young enough to not understand what's going on.
And some of the adult situations
Are adult.
are adult, and some of them are dark. And this particular episode is an example of it, and I was so appalled, that she carries so much hate in her heart, that she couldn't let Graham
Just live.
be happy on his own.
Right.
And she knows that he, has a crush on Emma, and that is mutual.
See,
And
I don't think Emma actually realized she did have feelings until Mary Margaret pointed it out to her, though. I think she was like in denial.
yeah, I definitely agree that she was in denial.
She was like, I don't need this. But she felt something. She just didn't want to admit she felt something
And,
to herself.
And then, of course, the first kiss, she was appalled. But the second kiss,
She was all in it.
she was all in, and it felt right. And to see something feel right for Emma, and then to watch Graham die,
Yeah.
in front of her, has to be scarring. And this not only shows the disdain that she has for Graham, but again, the hate that she feels for Emma.
Right. She would rather kill Graham than let Emma get anything.
Yeah. And that just shows you how far she's willing to go, to get her way. And, I was just, like I said, I was appalled. But, it just shows, how control and having power over someone is corrupting.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see Regina, I see a woman that has been corrupted by hate
Yeah.
and what it's done. And
I can definitely. Now, do you think Regina had legitimate feelings for Graham, or do you think it was just the control and sex?
I think she did grow to have feelings for him.
So do I.
I do. Because if it was nothing, she would have killed him in the Enchanted Forest. She didn't make all this. And then it started. Why would she choose for Graham to be her pet instead of just outright?
I think it was a
killing
control
him?
move at first.
Yeah.
She was like, you didn't want to be a pet. You didn't want to be in a cage. You didn't do what I told you to. So this is your punishment. And she didn't have feelings. I think over the years she developed feelings for him.
Because
But that didn't stop her from killing him when he didn't do what she wanted.
right. And, back in the forest, she tells her guards to bring him to her bedchamber. So this started, a while back.
Mm-hmm.
And, this has been going on, before the curse. So, this is,
Yeah, because in the timeline, there's still a good 7 to 10 years before Snow White meets Prince Charming and the curse happens.
Yeah.
So she held him prisoner for 7 to 10 years ish in the Enchanted Forest, and then 28 years in Storybrooke. So I mean, this is like almost 40 years that she's been doing icky things. Yeah. I don't know how. It's so not cool.
Yeah, it isn't, and I just wonder how low Regina's, going to go now.
Yeah.
She's lost Graham, and she's taken his life. What else is she going to do?
Right.
And how long is it going to take for Emma to start believing Henry?
Right. And do you think that she killed Graham because he left her, or do you think she killed Graham because she realized he was remembering?
Oh, both. I believe that when he woke up in that cold sweat and was talking about seeing a wolf and
it feeling like a
memory, that she was already, like you said, nervous.
Yeah, she was really nervous when he said that.
That the truth would come out. And of course, at the very end, he said he remembered everything.
Yeah. He kissed Emma the second time, and when she kissed him back, he was flooded with all of these memories, and he remembered everything. Like, he had put everything together. He just couldn't articulate it before he died.
Yep. And she kills him right as he was about to share his recollections with Emma, and he's murdered. So yeah. It was really sad.
Yeah.
It was.
And we're set up to believe that Graham is going to be a long-standing character.
Yeah.
I believe, I read somewhere, that he was actually killed off because he was going to be in, that one movie. What's that movie called? 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh.
He had gotten that part and he couldn't do both.
Right.
So they killed him off to let him go. I believe I read that somewhere.
All right.
But it's been a while, so I might be making that up. I don't know.
Yeah. But it was a good episode. We solved the mystery of the wolf, who kept appearing.
We solved the mystery of why is Graham sleeping with her if he doesn't like her.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have a choice.
So we figured all that out now. So this episode really is moving the plot forward.
This episode?
Sure. We're at season 1, episode 8 now. Desperate Souls is the title. It premiered January 8th, 2012, with 10.35 million viewers. Written by Jane Espenson and directed by Michael Waxman.
And this is the backstory of how Rumpelstiltskin became Rumpelstiltskin. His name was always Rumpelstiltskin, but this is kind of how he became evil.
Yeah.
Or
his descent.
corrupted.
And corrupted. Corrupted is a good way to describe it.
Yeah. Okay. So, and we also meet Rumpelstiltskin's son, Balefire. I love that name. I absolutely love the name Balefire. So we start in the Enchanted Forest. Balefire, who's 13, he's about to turn 14, rushes into the cottage and he tells Rumpelstiltskin that, and Rumpelstiltskin looks like a peasant. He doesn't look like himself. Balefire tells him that there are soldiers that are taking a girl from the village for the Ogre's War. This is the second Ogre's War. The Duke has been drafting children to be soldiers when they turn 14. On their 14th birthday, they're taken away from their families. The parents of the girl are pleading that she not be taken. And the soldier is like, orders are orders. She'll make a fine soldier. It'll be fine. As they take her onto the horse, her mother pulls out a knife. And is suddenly stopped by magic of this wizard. Wizard would be a good word. Called the Dark One. He's like the most powerful magic owner that anybody knows. Balefire tells his father, I'm going to be 14 in 3 days. They're going to come back for me. And Rumpelstiltskin tells him, we'll figure something out. Then we see Emma walking into Mr. Gold's shop, and it's kind of funny because she calls out. She's like, Mr. Gold, are you here? And he's in the back, and he's like, well, it is my shop. So it was just, I found that funny. She finds him in the back brushing lanolin onto the pages of a book. Lanolin is used for waterproofing. It's some sheep product, like sheep fat melted down or something. She remarks that it smells disgusting. And he says, well, it's for waterproofing, And then he tells her he wanted to express his condolences about Sheriff Graham. That's why he called and asked her to come over. And then he noticed that she's still wearing the deputy badge. And he informs her that after 2 weeks of acting as sheriff, the job becomes hers. And she was like, yeah, I'm just not in a hurry to do all of that. Mr. Gold and her walk into the store portion, because he has like a store portion of the shop and a back room portion of the shop. They walk into the store portion and he's like, oh, well, I also called you over here because Graham rented an apartment from me and I have all of his stuff and I wanted to offer you a keepsake. And she's like, I don't really need a keepsake. He says, okay, well, I guess I'll give all this to Mayor Mills. She seems like the closest thing to family he had. Emma's like, I'll take a look at it. Because she doesn't want Emma to have it, or Regina to have it.
Not at all.
Right. She doesn't want it, but Regina can't have it. Which is the way Regina felt about Graham.
Exactly.
I don't want him, but you can't have him. He insists that she takes something. He opens up the box. He pulls out Graham's jacket and is like, well, what about his jacket? And she's like, no, I don't want his jacket. And he pulls out a set of walkie-talkies and says to her, well, you can play with your boy with them. Children grow up so fast. She thanks him. She takes the walkie-talkies. And he tells her to enjoy her time with Henry, that it's precious, and that the thing about children is before you know it, you lose them.
And this was a moment of sincerity from Mr.
Yes.
Gold. His facial expressions told the tale. He seemed somber, very somber when he told that to Emma.
Yeah. Yep. Emma brings the walkie-talkies to Henry, he's at his castle and he's upset. And he's been kind of dodging her since Graham's death. And she tells them, hey, we could use these for Operation Cobra. And he tells her he thinks they should stop Cobra stuff for a while. You don't mess with the curse. And Emma's like, hey, I told you they did an autopsy. Graham's death was natural causes. Henry's like, well, you don't believe that, and that's good. It'll keep you from getting killed. Emma's a little shocked that he's worried about her, and Henry explains that Regina killed Graham because he was good, and Emma's good. And good always loses because good has to play fair and evil doesn't. Regina's evil, and this is probably for the best, that they don't want to upset Regina more and have more bad things happen. And he hands her back the walkie-talkie and leaves. Emma goes to the sheriff's station and she's about to put on the sheriff's badge. She takes off the deputy badge. She's about to put on the sheriff's badge. Regina walks in and is like, oh, that's not for you. And Emma's like, well, the promotion is automatic. And she's like, well, it's only automatic unless I appoint a candidate, which I'm doing today. And she appoints Sidney Glass, the newspaper guy. She said, well, he's been covering the sheriff's office for the newspaper for as long as I can remember, and he's the best man for the job. Emma scoffs and corrects her that it's because Sidney will do anything Regina wants. And she says that Regina can't stand that things are getting better. Regina gets pissed, like legitimately pissed, and says, you know, are you implying that Graham's death as better? That he was a good man and he kept this town safe, and Emma hasn't earned the right to wear his badge. Emma informs her that Graham picked her and he knew what he was doing by freeing the office from Regina's leash, and that she's not going to get the power back. Regina smiles and fires Emma and takes the badge. We see Emma at the apartment. She's drinking and listening to music and completely ruining a toaster. She's got a butter knife and she's just disassembling this thing. Mary Margaret gets home and asks if the toaster is broken. And Emma says, well, it wasn't when I started, but I'm pretty sure it is now. And tells her, I just needed to hit something. Mary Margaret asked her what's going on. And Emma explains that Regina fired her and that's her job. And Mary Margaret is like, well, I've never heard you be so passionate about it before. What changed? And Emma's like, I don't know. I just know that I want it back. Maybe it's just about beating Regina. Mr. Gold arrives, and he's got a binder. And he tells her that he heard what happened. She kind of throws her hands up and is like, yo, what's done is done. I don't have a chance. She's the mayor. I'm me. Like, Mr. Gold tells her two people with a common goal can accomplish a lot. But two people with a common enemy can accomplish even more. And he asks if she wants a benefactor. He says he has the town charter, and the mayor's power isn't all that it seems. It doesn't go as far as what Regina wants people to think. We go back to the Enchanted Forest. Rumpelstiltskin and Balefire make a run for it. That's Rumpel's plan for keeping Balefire safe, is just to run away. As they're running, they pass this really old beggar, and they give him a couple of coins, and he thanks them, and they kind of walk off. And they're approached by the Duke's soldiers, the same soldiers that came to collect the girl the day before. And Rumpelstiltskin tells Bay to hide. Bay is what Rumpelstiltskin calls him. He tells Bay to hide, but the soldiers see him. And the head soldier, who's a complete dick, like he's so mean. He's very full of himself, very, you can't touch me, I have the power kind of person. He makes fun of Rumpelstiltskin's name, acting like he can't remember it, and calls him like, what does he call him? Hobblefoot.
Hobblefoot, yeah.
A couple other just stupid stuff, and he's just being a dick. And he calls Rumpelstiltskin the man who ran. Then asks Balefire his name and how old he is. Balefire's very indignant. Tells him, my name is Balefire and I'm 13. I'm going to be 14 in a couple days. Rumpelstiltskin is terrified. And is telling him to shut up. Like, he's like, hush, hush, hush. Like, don't mess around with these guys. The soldier asks Rumpelstiltskin if he taught Bay to run as well, and tells Balefire that Rumpelstiltskin ran away from the first Ogre's War, and that Bay's mother couldn't stand the sight of him because women don't like men who are cowards. Rumpelstiltskin is known as kind of the town coward. He's really hard to watch, but he's really good at playing it.
Yeah, and that stigma that he has now, as you can see, it follows him. Yeah. Wherever he goes. So,
Well, and he plays it. He's so jumpy and anxious, and you believe that he is a coward.
Yeah.
Compared to his other roles as Rumpelstiltskin, the evil imp, who's very confident and very sure of himself, and then Mr. Gold, who's also very confident and sure of himself. I just think he played, like, for three competing roles, he plays it so well.
Yeah.
So the soldier tries to take Balefire right now. He's like, they're running, take him now. Rumpelstiltskin pleads with them not to take him. The head soldier tells Rumpelstiltskin, okay, we won't take your boy. Kiss my boots. And Rumpelstiltskin looks like he's almost about to cry, and he begs him not to do this in front of his son. The soldier yells at him to kiss his boots, and Rumpelstiltskin crumbles to the ground and kisses his boot. The soldier kicks him in the face, and he kind of falls back, and he's on the ground, and they all laugh while Bay rushes to help Rumpelstiltskin. The soldiers ride off. The beggar that they had helped earlier comes up and helps him up, and they're walking, and he's like, I don't have anything to give you. And the beggar tells him they'll work something out, and they'll work out a way for the beggar to be Rumpelstiltskin's benefactor. And they go back to Rumpelstiltskin's cottage. While Balefire's sleeping, Rumpelstiltskin is lamenting to the beggar that the soldiers are going to come for him. The beggar tells him, well, you just have to simply choose a different path. And Rumpelstiltskin explains that he's the town coward. The only choice he has is what corner to hide in. That he doesn't have any choices in this life. That all he has is Balefire, and they're going to take him away. And he starts to cry, and he says, if they take Balefire, he will truly become dust. Like, he will have nothing left. The beggar tells him that all Rumpelstiltskin needs is power. That the only reason the Dark One works for the Duke is because the Duke has a dagger that controls him. That on the blade is the true name of the Dark One, and the blade enslaves him. If Rumpelstiltskin gets the dagger, the Dark One will be under his control. And Rumpelstiltskin's like, oh, I couldn't control the Dark One. I'd be terrified. And the beggar proposes that instead of controlling the power, he take it instead. And then we go back to Storybook. Regina is in the mayor's office with a bunch of media, and she's announcing Sydney as the new town sheriff. And she's about to put the badge on him when Emma bursts through the door and informs her she can't do that. She can only appoint a candidate, but it requires a vote, and she's running. Regina says, that's fine, Sydney's running too. And Sydney's like, I am? I am. And Regina says they'll learn a little something about the will of the people. Regina immediately goes to Mr. Gold's shop and tells him she knows that he found a loophole in the charter, that Emma didn't come up with this idea on her own. He says, well, yeah, I like documents, contracts, if you will. Have always been fascinated by it. He says he likes the small weapons like the needle, the pen, the fine point of the deal. But he knows that subtlety isn't her style. She calls him a bastard. He laughs and says that he thinks grief is getting the better of her. She tells him not to talk about Graham, that he knows nothing about Graham. He's not allowed to go there. Mr. Gold kind of shrugs it off and says, what is there to know? He died. Regina asks if he's really going up against her, and says, like, it's not like you to back a losing horse. And he's like, well, she hasn't lost yet. And Mr. Gold insists that he's not going up against Regina directly. But he's also, just like her, invested in the greater good. They're just picking different sides. He points out that Emma hasn't lost anything yet. Like, she still has a chance. And Regina's like, oh, she's going to lose. She's completely confident that with her help, Sydney's going to win, because everyone in town is afraid of Regina. So they're not going to vote against what Regina wants. He tells her not to underestimate someone who's working for their child. And she smiles and informs him that Henry isn't her child legally. And Mr. Gold gets the best look on his face. He just he gets this big grin on his face. And he says, now who's trifling with technicalities?
That was a good comeback.
That was a good comeback. Then we see Emma walking into Granny's diner. And she asks Henry how school was. He says, okay, and shows her the paper that he's reading, which has a huge headline on it about Emma giving birth to Henry while she was in jail. He asks if it's a lie, and Emma says no, that he was born in jail. And she says the records were supposed to be sealed. She then asks him if he's scarred for life, and he says, no, not by this anyway. But this is what he's talking about when he says good can't be evil, because good wouldn't be able to do this kind of thing. Emma tells him she's working with Mr. Gold, and Henry says that's even worse, that he's even worse than what Regina is. And Emma already owes him one favor, and she doesn't want to owe him anymore. Emma goes to the mayor's office and confronts Regina about the paper, saying, you know, this was a juvie record. It was sealed. I don't know how you got this, but this only hurts Henry. And Regina asked him, oh, are you embarrassed that he had to learn that you cut his cord with a shiv? Which I thought was the best comeback. But Regina's like, you know, he has to learn eventually, and we all lose our heroes at some point. Emma tells Regina, you know, Henry is depressed. He's watching his adopted mother run a smear campaign against his birth mother. Like, this is hurting him. And they're walking, and they head out of the office while they're talking. And Regina tells her, you know, I did nothing wrong legally. And Emma and Sydney can get into all of this juvie record and what's legal and not legal during their debate. And they can even discuss her new association with Mr. Gold. Emma says she's just fighting. It's kind of funny, the timing. She said, I'm just fighting fire with, and there's an explosion. Regina opens the door, and there's an explosion of a fire. Regina falls back and sprains her ankle. And Emma helps her to safety. And it just so happens that when they go out of the office that's burning, they stumble on a bunch of citizens and press. So everyone has seen Emma saving Regina now. We go back to the Enchanted Forest. Rumpelstiltskin and Balefire are preparing to break into the castle and steal the dagger. Now, here's the thing, though. Rumpelstiltskin is the town coward. He won't stand up for anybody. He will kiss someone's boots in front of his son. But we're supposed to suspend disbelief and believe that he went from terrified coward to I'm going to break into a duke's castle and steal a knife.
Yeah, but that might show his desperation. He's already said that if they take Balefire from him, he's truly going to be dust. So I think that desperation drives him to do something that he
wouldn't normally do. That makes
do.
sense. And even he says in Storybrooke, like, you don't know what a parent will do for their child.
Yeah.
So, okay. I retract my little side tangent. They're preparing to break into the castle and steal the dagger, and Rumpelstiltskin is explaining to Balefire what the beggar told him the night before. That if he goes in and he gets the dagger, he controls the Dark One. But if he kills the Dark One with the dagger, then he gets the Dark One's powers, and he could redeem himself and turn the powers towards good. He'll save all the children from the front lines, not just Bay, and he'll end the Ogre's War. And he's like, can you imagine what I would do with these powers? Balefire tells him, like, I'm not sure this is a good idea, and if the law says I can fight, I can. Rumpelstiltskin insists that it's not a war, it's a sacrifice. Like, they don't want these kids to go and fight and win the war. They're sacrificing these children to the ogres. And he says, what sane person would want to involve himself in that? And Balefire confronts him about his actions in the previous Ogre's War and asks him if what the soldier said was true, that he ran. And he says, well, I had to. And Bay gets really upset and is like, well, what about my mother? You told me she was dead. And Rumpelstiltskin kind of looks down and is like, your mother is dead. Balefire asks him what they need to do, and Rumpelstiltskin shares his plan. He says, the sides of the castle are stone, but the rafters and the floors are all wood. We're going to burn the castle down, and I'm going to take the dagger. Meanwhile, in Storybrooke, the citizens are gathered around Emma at Town Hall. She just saved Regina. And they're calling her a hero and working out how to help her with her campaign. And we can do posters, and we can do this, and we can do this. Emma tells Henry, see, this is how good wins. You do good things, and people see it, and they want to help you. And while she's explaining this to Henry, she sees a rope that's partially burned that she recognizes the smell of lanolin on. So she knows that the fire was started by Mr. Gold. She goes and confronts Mr. Gold right away. He says he's been at the shop all day and there's loads of flammable substances in construction, and there's construction going on right across the street from the town hall. Like, you can't prove that I did anything. She asks him why he did it, because she knows he did it. He says if he did do it, it would be because she can't win without something big. She's like, how do you even know I was there, that I would be there, like, in time? And he just says, well, Regina's not the only one with eyes all around town. It could be that, or maybe he's just intuitive. She, like, immediately is like, I'm not going to go along with this. Like, he smiles and he informs her she just did, that this is the price of an election. She tells him it's a price she isn't willing to pay, and he shrugs her off and tells her to expose him. But think about what she'll be exposing, what she'll be walking away from, and who she might be disappointing. Meanwhile, in the Enchanted Forest, Rumpelstiltskin has Bay hide. He doesn't take Bay into the castle with him. He starts the castle on fire, and he's breaking and he's burning things down as he goes through. He finds and steals the dagger. It's a wiggly dagger with a filigree pattern on it, and it has the name Zoso on it. He leaves. He meets up with Balefire. He's telling Balefire to go home and wait for him there. He has to do this on his own, and he's going to summon the Dark One. He summons him, and nothing happens at first, and he gets kind of like, crap, did I just burn down a castle for no reason? He turns around, and Zoso's there. Zoso tells him to wield the power wisely, that it's almost dawn and the soldiers would be on their way to pick up Bay, because it's Bay's birthday, and asks if he wonders ever if Balefire's his child at all. Because unlike Rumpelstiltskin, Balefire isn't afraid of things. He's ready to lay down his life. And he's like, are you ready to lay down your soul for your son that might not be yours? Rumpelstiltskin stabs him with the knife. And they're on the ground, and you see the Dark One transform into the beggar that told him about the knife. The beggar laughs and tells Rumpelstiltskin that he made a deal that he didn't understand, and he will never do that again. His life was such a burden, and Rumpelstiltskin will see. Magic always comes with a price, and now it's Rumpel's price to pay. Rumpelstiltskin asks him why, and Zoso answers that he knows how to recognize a desperate soul, and he dies. Rumpelstiltskin looks down, and his hand is turning like green and scaly. And he pulls the dagger out of Zoso's chest, and it says Rumpelstiltskin on it now. So he's officially the Dark One now. Then we go back to Storybrooke. Mary Margaret is putting up campaign posters for Emma. When she sees David, who's putting up campaign posters for Sydney, because David's wife, Catherine, is Regina's friend. They chit-chat for a little bit. You know, she finds out he has a job at the animal shelter. Nothing crazy. Emma is preparing for the debate at City Hall. Or is it a theater? It's like a theater.
I think it's like a theater.
Yeah. Yeah, because City Hall is where the mayor's office is burned down. What am I doing? So Emma's kind of behind the curtain, and she's preparing for her debate, and she keeps on peeking out and seeing Henry. And she tells Mary Margaret she isn't going to win. She can't beat Regina with the way Regina fights. Mary Margaret asks if that's the only reason she's doing this is to beat Regina. Emma says it's for Henry. She wants to show him good can win. And Mary Margaret asks why she wants to win it for herself. Emma kind of opens up and has a vulnerable moment and says, well, I want to win it because I want to show Henry that good can win. If I can't win this, I'm not a hero and a savior. And if I'm not a hero and a savior, what part do I play in his life? They go out. and Archie's kind of the introductory person.
Like the moderator.
Yeah, and
of the debate. And he tries
to tell jokes, and it does not go over.
Falls completely flat.
Yeah,
he's falling over himself. He's mispronouncing words. It was a disaster.
Yeah, but it's really on par for Archie.
Yeah, it's definitely in his character.
So Sidney makes his opening statement, and he just says, if I'm elected, I want to reflect the best qualities of Storybrooke: honesty, neighborliness, and strength. And he sits back down. And while he's talking, Regina's mouthing what he's saying. So it's obvious Regina told him what to say. Emma's opening statement is a bit more dramatic. She says she knows that they know about her troubled past, but they have been able to overlook it because of the whole hero and the fire and that thing. But the fire was a setup. Mr. Gold agreed to support her in the race, but she didn't know that he was going to set the fire. She doesn't have evidence, but she knows it was him. And the worst of all is that everybody thought it was real, and she can't win that way. Mr. Gold gets up out of the audience and walks out. And then you see Emma sitting alone at Granny's diner with a drink, and she's just lamenting her loss. When Henry comes in with the walkie-talkies and tells her she did amazing, standing up to Mr. Gold was so cool, and that's what heroes do, and that he shouldn't have given up on Operation Cobra. Regina and Sidney come in, and Regina walks in and is like, "Oh, you're here with a drink and my son." But they congratulate her on winning. As it turns out, it was a very close vote, but the people seem to like the idea of a sheriff that can stand up to Mr. Gold. Because people are afraid of her. They're much more afraid of Mr. Gold.
Yeah, he owns the town.
Right. So then we go back to the Enchanted Forest. We see the soldiers, and they're taking Balefire out of the cottage when Rumpelstiltskin shows up and kills one of them. The head soldier, whose boot he kissed, bows to him and then kind of looks up and asks who he is. Because he's like, "Oh, it's the Dark One." And then he looks at him and is like, "No, that's not the Dark One." Rumpelstiltskin asks if he's forgotten him already. And it's like, "What did you used to call me? Shingleshanks, Hobblefoot." And that the soldier's like, "Oh, it's Rumpelstiltskin." Rumpelstiltskin says, "Well, from now on, you can call me the new Dark One. And you need to kiss my boot." When the soldier bends to kiss it, Rumpelstiltskin breaks his neck. And then he kills all the other soldiers in front of Balefire. Balefire asks him what happened. Rumpelstiltskin says, "You're safe. Do you feel safe?" And Balefire says, "No, I feel frightened." And Rumpelstiltskin says, "Well, I'm not. I protected what belongs to me, and I'm not scared of anything." So it's an immediate change.
Yeah.
Then you see Emma walking into the sheriff's station, and she sees Graham's jacket, which Mr. Gold had offered her earlier in the episode, but she declined. So she's like staring at this jacket, and Mr. Gold comes in and says he thought she might like it after all. And he says, "Well, this is all part of the act, the political theater." He knew that no one was going to vote for her unless he gave her an extraordinary quality. And saving Regina from a fire just wasn't quite going to do it. He had to give her a higher form of bravery. That they had, the citizens, had to see her defy him. And they did. Everyone is and then he says everyone's afraid of Regina, but they're more afraid of him. Emma says he knew she would, how did he know she would agree? And he says he knows how to recognize a desperate soul. She's like, "Why did you do this? Like, why did you help me and set all this up?" And he says, "Well, you owe me a deal. And now that you're sheriff, I'm sure we'll figure out a way for you to pay me back." And that's the end of the episode. What'd you think?
Oh, it was a juicy episode. I liked it. I liked it so much.
It makes me feel so much for Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah.
Because everyone's had that time where they didn't know what to do and they were afraid. And for him, that's all the time. That's all the time. He ran away from the Ogre's War. He's blasted in his own town. Like, everyone thinks so little of him.
His wife left
His
him.
wife left him. I mean, she died.
Yeah.
She died. And he's so broken down. And then he sees this like light at the end of the tunnel. He decides to go for it, and he's a completely different person within hours. Because he kills the dark one and then goes home. So it's probably not even 2 hours.
Yeah.
And he looks completely different too. He's not quite what he is when we see him in the pilot, but he's really skinny, pale, a little green toned, kind of shiny. It's a dramatic change.
Yeah.
Very dramatic.
Yeah. It's very sad. And again, first of all, what a revelation that Zozo, the Dark One, was this beggar who
tricked
who
Rumpelstiltskin.
tricked Rumpelstiltskin to take this burden off of him.
Right.
And, his statement that he can recognize a desperate soul, someone who's willing to do about anything to protect what they love,
Right.
Worked out for him so that he could
Get this off
get this off of
his
him.
chest.
And, he's right. Rumpel was looking for a solution. And he took this beggar's word that he knew nothing about this guy.
Yeah.
And he happens
And he
to
made a
know-
deal that he didn't understand.
Absolutely. All he understood was, if I do this, I can save my son.
I'll get power and I can save my son.
And that's it. That's all he needed. That's all he wanted. But
He truly
he
did
truly
sacrifice
did
his soul.
sacrifice his soul.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
Now, the beggar had said something about Balefire not being his. Do you think Balefire is his, or do you think he's not?
I don't know. I think he is. I think he is.
I think even if he's not, he is. So even if he's not biologically Rumpelstiltskin's, Rumpelstiltskin has raised him and nurtured him and taken care of him, especially with his mom not being there, that it doesn't matter to Rumpelstiltskin whether
Yeah.
he's biologically his or not. Balefire is his son.
I would say that. I would say so. But it makes you wonder, what his wife Mila was.
We
was
don't know her
doing.
name yet.
Oh, I spoiled it. Yikes.
We don't know her name yet. But no, it does question, like, did she really die? Did she run off? Did she, like, what happened to Bay's mother? And how young was Bay when it happened?
Yeah. Balefire was really, really young.
He had to have been.
When the Ogres War started, the first Ogres
He wasn't
War,
born yet.
He wasn't born yet. So,
Yeah.
When he goes back home and, his wife is just like, you're a coward. I can't stand to be with you. And
We don't know this information yet. See, I said I would not spoil anything. You did not. And I think that's coming up. Let me look and see what the next couple episodes are.
oh, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I've been a spoiling machine this episode.
You've been a spoiler machine this whole time. I think the next two episodes are about Hansel and Gretel. I don't remember. Let me look. I can look.
Well, in the meantime,
I have Disney Plus.
We have this ongoing battle between Emma and Regina, and Emma's already hurting after the death of Graham, and her confession to Mary Margaret that she doesn't want Regina to to not have her as sheriff. She doesn't want her to win. And I thought the next statement was the most honest, was that she wanted to be a hero.
Yeah.
And if she can't be a hero or a savior, then what is she to Henry? And that was a very honest, thing that I think a parent would say,
Right, because I don't know if Emma knows. Like, I think Emma questions, does Henry value me and our relationship as me being his mom and his birth mom, or does Henry value me and our relationship because I'm the savior?
Yeah.
Because I'm the hero. Because he's putting all of this stock in me breaking this curse.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of pressure, and it's a lot of not knowing.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Where's my value in this?
Yeah. And she's scared, and it kind of circles back when Emma asks, why did Mr. Gold choose her? Why do all this and involve me? And he says, I can recognize a desperate soul.
Yep.
Well,
and he also says he can be her benefactor, and that's the same thing the beggar told him.
Exactly.
I'll figure out a way to be your benefactor.
Yep. And it was, a full circle moment. And, it just shows the fact that Mr. Gold, I believe, is awake.
He is. Remember, he woke up when he heard Emma's name.
Yeah. And that he has all of these life experiences back now.
Well, and it makes you know that because he's awake, he remembers Balefire.
Yeah.
And what happened and how he lost Balefire, which we don't know yet. But he has all of that working memory to give Emma the insight of, hey, take these walkie-talkies, enjoy them with your son. You have no idea how quickly he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Which I think every parent gets to.
Oh, yeah.
And struggles with.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I'm in the midst of struggling with it. My baby's 11.
Yeah. It's a hard thing for, parents to, move on to the next phase of their child's life, because you still see them as this little child.
Right.
And, we know that they won't stay that way.
Mm-hmm.
So we lament it instead of being in the present.
Yeah.
So.
And I think we lose something by lamenting the past and not being in the present.
Yeah. And I think that was really the advice that Mr. Gold was trying to give Emma.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was probably the most sincere advice that was given to Emma. Mm-hmm. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I also found that, the town has really accepted Emma as a part of their community. And I think the vote for sheriff solidified that.
She's part of it.
Yes.
And I think part of it was Regina didn't want her to win, thinking if Emma doesn't win, she'll just go away.
Right.
She'll just leave town. She'll go away. And I think that was part of Regina's big push to have her, not just to get the power of the sheriff's station again, through Sydney.
Yep.
Because Sydney is ride or die for Regina.
Yeah. He definitely is.
So, our next episode is about Hansel and Gretel.
Okay.
And then the episode after that is about Mary Margaret and David. Now, do you think this sleepover that Mary Margaret had with Dr. Whale, is it going to turn into something?
I hope not.
He sent her flowers.
Yeah.
That's not a normal sleepover thing.
Yeah. Maybe he caught feelings, I don't know, but I surely hope not. I do not trust Dr. Whale.
No,
No, not at all.
me either.
And
He's kind of slimy.
yeah,
Like, he just
yeah.
comes across as really gross.
And Mary Margaret's reaction to David when they were putting up posters still shows that
Yeah, it
Mary
did show that she
Margaret
still had
had
feelings,
feelings
for
for
him.
him.
But it wasn't like a big scene where like they talk deeply or anything
Right.
like that. It was just like, how are you doing? Oh, how are you doing?
Yeah,
And
it was awkward.
it extremely awkward.
And, Mary Margaret rushes away, and you don't do that unless
You have a reason.
you have a reason to, and
Right.
she certainly does because she has fallen in love with him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But he's married, and
But
she
he's
doesn't want to
married.
be that person.
yep.
And I don't blame her. No, I don't think any woman or man wants to be that person
Yeah.
that's in love with somebody who's not available.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And she's trying to do the right and moral thing because Mary Margaret's the moral center so far of the show.
Oh, she's Snow White.
Yeah, she's Snow
I
White.
mean,
And she's, like I said, she really doesn't want this on her conscience.
yeah.
Even though her heart is all for David.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but to your point, I hope not. I hope she doesn't start dating Dr. Whale,
Me too.
especially after their first date and how interested he was in
Well,
her.
and the thing is, they didn't even have a date before their sleepover. They had a couple of drinks and went home.
Yeah,
So they haven't even gotten to know each other. Because the date, he didn't care anything that came out of her mouth
yeah,
because he was too busy staring at Ruby.
mm-hmm.
And then the second date, he seen her crying and was like, "Hey, I can get something out of this." Which does question why he sent her flowers. If he doesn't care, why did he send her flowers? I don't know. I'm not a man. Do you send flowers to women you don't care about?
No.
If
No.
you just have a sleepover with a woman, are you sending flowers?
No. No. I don't know about sending flowers. You might call them again.
Well, she called him. She called
yeah,
him,
Yeah, so,
which is awkward.
yeah.
If you ever have a sleepover, don't. If you're the woman, don't call.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Let him call you. You're the prize. Let him call you.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Well, you're my prize.
Mm-hmm.
I'm your prize, though.
See, you try to cover it up real smooth, like,
We're both the prize,
we're both the prize.
and we're both the winner.
And we're both the winner.
That's how this marriage works.
Mm.
That's why we've been married for so long.
Mm.
What?
I just think it's funny. That's all. Men who are watching, you are the prize. You walk upright with dignity, smell good every day,
And call.
and make sure these women are on their behavior
And call.
if they're worthy.
You called me.
I did. Like I said, men
Men are the prize,
are
too.
the prize.
And
Men are the
ladies,
prize.
if you feel like you should call.
There you go.
Because if you do, you can end up married. And it'd be great. Or you could end up heartbroken.
There's always a chance. Mary Margaret said it. Keeping people away might keep the pain away,
But
but it might keep
out.
love out.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yep.
Look at this. We almost sound like we know something, don't we? But I'm looking forward to the next episodes. You said were about Hansel and Gretel.
Hansel and Gretel. And I have beef with this. It does set up more of the story. I feel like Emma projects a lot in the Hansel and Gretel episode. And they're supposed to be twins, and they look at least 3 years apart. And that irritates me.
All right. Well, you guys will hear all about it in our next episode. Thank you for joining us with another very lively
Very personal.
edition of Banter and Binges. I'm Quase,
And I'm Gabby.
and we will see you next week.
Bye.